저희의 그 스페셜 토크를 이끌어 주실 아주 귀한 분 먼저 잠시 소개를 드려도 될까 모르겠습니다. 저희가 유현준건축사무소 대표 건축가이자 또 홍익대학교 건축학부 교수시죠. 여러분들께서 너무나 좋아하시는 교수님께서 좌장을 맡아 주실 텐데요. 저희가 스페셜 토크 세션 하이라이트로 또 준비를 해봤습니다. 네, 무대가 저희가 이렇게 준비를 해봤는데 이제 그럼 지금부터 스페셜 토크 세션 열어가 보겠습니다. 말씀드린 대로 유현준 교수님께서 본 세션의 좌장을 맡아 주시겠고요. 패널로서 앞서서 강연해 주신 두 분입니다. 디에베도 프란시스 캐레 교수님 그리고 리나고트메 교수님 모시고 함께 이 얘기를 나눠보겠습니다. 진행 언어는 영어로 지금 진행될 예정입니다. 자리에 놓인 통역 수신기 사용해 주시면 되겠는데요. 네, 그럼 큰 박수로 세 분 모셔보도록 하겠습니다. Once again, thank you so very much for the inspiration. Now, this special talk session will be moderated by Professor Hyunjun Yu. And now it is time for me to pass the microphone over to Professor Yu. The floor is all yours now.
Yeah, thank you for giving us a lecture. So it was really inspiring ones. So today we're going to talk about this year's the conference topic was design for coexistence. So can you this question is applies to both of you guys. What is your personal opinion or your philosophy toward the design for coexistence?
It's a great question because very relevant to my childhood actually. Because I grew up in Lebanon, and in the country, and Beirut has been in war for all the decades because of coexistence, because the different fractions of societies with their different religions didn't want to coexist, and it was about the fight between us as humans. So for me, it was growing up in that context and thinking about the absurdity of humanity, also about how can, and seeing the city completely war-torn constantly, and thinking about always space and architecture as a way of bringing people together. And I always thought about how important space is in bringing us as humans to become non-violent. And I do think that if we build a more sustainable and respectful environment, we as humans become a much less violent being, and there is a respect suddenly that emerges, a dignity in humanity and in our relationship to the living. And you can see that in the behavior. So the care in our construction, in our environment, is about bringing in coexistence in the large sense of the word.
Yeah, I mean, the topic is, thank you for getting the two of us here again. So building for coexistence is so important. The way I see it is, if I look at to where I grew up, you have a society that is divided between the urban and the countryside. So you have seen that most of resources is being put into the urban structure, and then the countryside has been neglected, both in terms of infrastructure, but also jobs opportunities. And so in Burkina, for example, this is leading to push people to go to cities where they have no place to stay. My thinking is, how could we just bridge, get the two elements together? B, try to develop the countryside and to avoid migration or to reduce migration, but also to really create structure that allowed us to grow together, and not that the cities has elements which attract everyone and causing a lot of problems to decisions maker, but also dividing our people, and that is not healthy for cities.
Okay, this is the second question is for two is if you have a project in Korea, what kind of project do you want to do? Because the sustainability is a very big issue in Korea as well, and the architectural role is very growing and growing because our society is also very divided, and we have to make some space to get some for coexistence and then glue the people together. So I know you haven't spent much time in Korea so far, but if you want to have a project, what kind of project do you want?
Let's rebuild the city, Francis. I don't know. Maybe I won't say that I want a specific project. I think it's about the ambition of partnership, about finding the right partners, the right ambitious community that want to reconnect with their past, that want to make an architecture that has sense, actually, that is able to reconnect with our environment in a way. And that ambition is not always easy. Most of let's say, developers and deciders always succumb to the frenetic economy that we are living in, and it needs strength to stand in a position and take the time to do things. And a place that is really obsessing me, and everyone has been asking me why, but this island in Jeju with the stone walls that has been built with lava stone, and they're built actually like centuries ago to really create peace between the different agricultures in that island. And at the same time, these stone walls are about ventilation. They allow actually better ventilation and to grow better agriculture. And this thought actually of such a simple act that at the same time is about building knowledge and vernacular knowledge, about bringing peace through architecture and acting as an ecosystem is fascinating to cherish.
So, same to me, I have no favorite project. Then for the look of partner, where together you could just envision a structure that is showing a new way to go. I think in the modern city like Korea, like Seoul, like one of the leading countries in our industrial era, it's potentially important to work together to slow down the speed. We are running all the day. I see the same in Germany. It is important to come together and think about materials and ways how we really can create a place where people will be able to rest, to reconnect again with their families, with nature. Basically, here you see that architecture is at a very high level. It's up to us, together with those that have resources, that without them, nothing will work. Really to try together to find ways. I will say we could infuse more fantasy within the built world, to really inspire and stimulate by using also materials that are not causing a heavy burden to the environment.
When I look at the two lectures, the interesting point is you two are born, you were born in Beirut and then working in Paris and studies in UK?
In Beirut.
Yeah, in Beirut. And you were born in Africa and have a practice in Berlin. and have a project in Africa and all over the world. So your birth location and education location and the practice location is different. So that's why your work is very interesting, because something new and always come creative and hybrid issues, or I can see from your project. So I think your life shows what is the 21st century contemporary human can live. So that's maybe your whole life story is maybe the essence of your creativity or the new issues. So my question is, when you relocate yourself to the other culture, how do you interpret and observe them into yourself and create your architecture? Do you have any specific method or secret?
Okay. Yeah, okay. No, I mean, in my case, being in Berlin was an access. It opened an access. So in Burkina Faso, you cannot study architecture. You could go to a neighboring country, which is Togo, in Lomé. That is a school for the Francophone-speaking West African community. Nowadays, we have more schools coming, but there was an access, and that's why I stuck there. Actually, I have a bigger workshop in Burkina Faso than even in Germany. But Germany just happened because of access, because of a network that I benefit from to be able to do what I'm doing. So if I go to, I think the fact that you travel, the fact that I left my country and I went to Germany to learn German, to be able to study, it's teaching you the ability to really go and look, watch, try to explore. Sometimes it's a good advantage, because we often, when we are in one place, we have something and we take it for granted. I'm sure here in Seoul you think about the metro and everything that is normal for you, but that is a great achievement. And if we arrive in a place and see how you build, for me it's not normal. I am curious to explore them. And so these being curious is so fundamental if you want to make things that just make a difference, that bring a change, a positive input or output to wherever. So I'm always looking what is available, how did they do to achieve this certain, this is a learning and watching a discovery that later then allowed to do project. I've seen to Linus saw this bright research work, learning from the past and present. That is what helped you to do. But being forced to leave your place give you that ability more than other to watch up and really discover.
Yeah, I totally echo what Francis is saying. Actually, it's being in a different place allows you to see better where you grew up and what you have been subject to as well. And actually, it enriches the diversity, which is essential in the making of architecture and is essential to us as humans. Actually, I realized when moving to France that we, as a world, we don't have enough diversity. And it also struck me like how when I was 22 walking in the metro and seeing the music in the metro, I was saying, wow, this is amazing. Like, people are so happy here. But I was looking at the faces of people. They were all very serious. No one was dancing. So I thought, like, why is that, actually? And then I discovered how much you have privileges also in France, the social system, the history. And when I look at Lebanon, where there is no government, there is no public policy, there is no social security, everybody, there is no electricity, there is no water, and there is maybe 6 million of migrants in the country. And you can see these both extreme situations. It questions the world, and it makes you more enraged actually to make a change or to act. You feel the urgency of acting.
자, 그러면은 이제 플로어에서 좀 질문을 받아가지고 대화를 하는 시간을 좀 가졌으면 합니다. 질문 있으신 분들은 손 들어서 질문해 주시고요. 그 마이크를 갖다 주실 것 같습니다. 혹시 프란시스나 리나한테 질문 있으신 분들 없으신가요?
네, 질문 하나 하도록 하겠습니다. 저는 일단 오늘 삼성전자에서 참여하게 된 디자이너 신영미라고 하고요. 좋은 강연 굉장히 감사합니다. 사실 두 분의 강연을 들었을 때 저한테 가장 좀 큰 메시지가 있었던 것들은 커뮤니티를 본딩한다라는 측면에 굉장히 두 분 다 건축가로서 많은 노력들을 하신 것 같아요. 그래서 그런 부분에 대해서 다시 한번 좀 인상 깊었다라는 점 말씀드리고, 제가 오늘 하고 싶은 질문 중에 굉장히 좀 많은 질문들이 생각이 났는데 어떤 질문을 드릴까 하고 고민을 하다가 유튜브를 통해서 사실 두 분한테 들을 수 없는 이야기들 질문을 드리는 게 좋겠다라는 생각이 들어서 드리는 건데요. 혹시 두 분이 건축가로서 그런 이제 조금 더 퍼스널한 좀 이야기를 해주실 수 있는지 궁금합니다. 어떤 퍼블릭의 그런 커뮤니티 말고도 개인적으로 가족이라든지 이런 부분들에서 굉장히 좀 스페셜한 레시피가 있으시면은 그런 부분도 좀 공유해 주시면 감사하겠습니다.
Well, thank you for the summary. Yeah, if we have personal stories to share, I think going through life, you encounter a lot of great stories. But I think that we all are here where we are because we have a family that is loving, protecting, encouraging us. I think my father and my mother was very, very encouraging. Maybe if you are in Korea, you see things very differently. In my case, when I did the first school, when I built, I think my father and my mother, also, as well as my really direct relative, was overwhelmed. They was really happy, supportive, but some of the relative was worried why I am building a school instead of the government. Why I don't build a villa for my own family. It was not well seen, and that is something you really need to overcome. But for the work itself, there was a lot of skepticism. When you go to Germany, you learn, and you come back, you want to build a house. First, people are scary because they never saw you building. They know you did carpentry, but they didn't see you be a builder. And you came, you want to build, and they didn't really trust you. But your relative will always support you, believe me. I think we are human is the same everywhere. But the most intriguing or the biggest challenge was when I wanted to use clay. People didn't trust it, really, honestly. And it's the engineering, you're seeing that we're doing big arches and I will jump on the top to prove that it's working. It took a lot of time before people believe. And so you realize even later it was my own brother who was telling me, so we're happy that the building is standing. because no one trusted, and even my brothers themselves, they never trust it's gonna work. But I was a relative, they had to support me. It will be losing your face if you don't stand behind your own family members. So those are the kind of private story that just occur while you're running, you're trying to build. There is skepticism. No one trusts himself to say to you, maybe it would take you away your enthusiasm. And let's support him and see what will happen. Luckily, it really happens, and it is good to hear this story afterward and not before.
Difficult to think about the personal story, but it just makes me think about first, I'm blessed that I have parents that never made me feel like I'm a woman or I'm a man. I'm just a person that can follow her passion. So there is something that goes beyond gender, and that's very important in education, because then you go beyond any categorization or any preconcept what you should do, and there is no limit actually to you. You just have to follow your passion in life. And maybe one memory is that I come from a very modest family, and my father wanted to build a house, and that house almost took more than 10 years to build. So I grew up like seeing that house being built. So maybe it's a way to learn somehow architecture. This is something that now I think about when this question arises.
네, thank you for sharing your personal stories. 또 다른 질문이 있으면 좀 받겠습니다. 네.
Posso? Buongiorno, mi chiamo Francesco Scianni e sarò il relatore nella sezione fashion più tardi, però sono anche architetto, insegno all'Università di Architettura di Firenze, anche se professore a contratto, non professore ordinario. Volevo fare una domanda ai miei colleghi architetti, che è la seguente. Io ho lavorato in Corea, ho avuto un'opportunità di partecipare ad un concorso pubblico e nel momento che ho presentato ero animato, come loro hanno dimostrato nelle loro presentazioni, erano animato da tutta una serie di buoni propositi, però purtroppo nel momento che mi sono incontrato con le regole le regole architettoniche del governo coreano, praticamente il progetto l'avevano fatto loro, perché mi avevano detto quanto doveva essere alto, quanto doveva essere largo. Io potevo solo fare un balcone o una finestra un po' più larga, un po' più stretta, i materiali me li davano loro e di conseguenza sono stato costretto a disegnare una scatola più o meno. Ora, la domanda è questa: loro che hanno fatto delle opere bellissime, il professore architetto parlava di argilla, l'architetta collega parlava di materiali della zona, ma la realtà è un po' diversa. Loro hanno mai avuto queste problematiche o... Perché è molto complicato disegnare o progettare qualcosa quando ti viene già dato uno schema precostituito. Grazie.
Buongiorno, ciao Francesco. Come stai? Okay. Yeah. No, regulation is a big challenge, and it depends on the country. So this is part of our challenge. In my work as well as in Lina's, so talking about her food, let's say this beautiful project where you've just been struggling since 2014 or 16. The same happened. I have decided to show you the wooden house because of that. in Germany, it's taking a lot. I grew so in term professionally, I grew up there. I know the norms, but even there, where you act is not easy to handle when it comes to innovation. But luckily, in this case, firstly, we're designing and really trying to find ways how to get this house as an innovative input, be built by wood, completely, really, to just break the norms. And then we're struggling, and then I won then the Pritzker, and then from all the heritage and and the regulation area, they said that is a beacon project. They will put all the effort to get it work. Like even the bosses of every department of heritage and regulation, they really want it. But then it came to the bureaucracy, and there are rules that are made, and it's really not easy to overcome. Some are heritage, but some are regarding security. And if we come to security, it's often very tricky because no one wants to allow you to do it, and later there is an accident, and that is an understanding what we're going through. But in some places, you need to work with a local, but I can't tell you, Francesco, it's nowhere it is easy. It's not easy. But that is part of the struggle. How do you overcome them and keep inspiring and innovative projects happen? And depending on country to country is different. Already from Munich to Berlin is very, very different, even that is the same country. In Burkina Faso is the same, but norms and regulation are not that heavy if it's a small size building. Actually, we have problems because buildings are collapsing, and so regulation and norms are getting then stronger to secure. But that is it. That is the business of building. It's all about human. It's all about the picture in the city. And there's a lot of challenges to overcome if we want to build. And I'm experiencing the same in the US. But then that is it.
Definitely, I think challenges are everywhere. Like I see in your project, Francis, when you're building in Burkina Faso, you're working with the clay, you're forming the people. So there is a different type of challenge than regulation, but it's still a part of architecture, this constant challenge that we are facing. And sometimes when I work on regulations, I always try to talk to cities to say, well, regulations are what we have made as humans, so we can change them as humans as well. So they're not dictated, they're not coming from an outside source. And I think also, for example, taking an example, Francesco, this in France, it's a concrete country, so it's really about building in concrete, and suddenly now they want to build in wood. So all the regulation, all the DTU, which are the regulations on the details that you can employ, are based on concrete. So it's a whole struggle to really shift into wood construction, and every time there's a fire somewhere, then another regulation comes in to go against wood construction. So you have to build in wood now, and you have to cover again the wood. So it's completely absurd. So you just spend more material to build in wood. So, I mean, I think it's constantly, a fight and a resistance to such frameworks.
네, 지금 3분 남아서 마지막 질문이 될 것 같습니다. 네. 마이크 받으신 분.
네. Hello, my name is Jiwon Kim, and I'm studying architecture from Hongik University. First of all, thank you for your lecture, and as a student studying architecture, I got a lot of inspiration. I was very inspired by your lecture. And as someone who loves to travel the world and see different people and environments and apply them to my own country, I really agreed with, inspired by the way you both look at the world. What I'm curious was when you guys were starting architecture and trying to get into opportunities like competitions, what do you look for in a design and what do you look for in the elements that make up a design? I'm curious about your design, like thinking process in daily or what you ultimately value. Thank you.
Maybe I will just thank you for your question and thank you for your deep listening also for our lectures. I think like in design, because I started my practice with winning a competition, I think now when looking back, I think it's about authenticity. It's about really trying to listen to the place in which you're working and in designing, listening to its history, like in Estonia. This country has lived the Soviet occupation. The building was for them a way of affirming their identity. It's also thinking critically, assessing what is given to you as a brief, because at that time the site of the project was completely other than where we did the design. So when looking at this airfield, I said that this is actually an important trace and one has to deal with it. So we went out of the site and connected to that airfield. So also as a student or as a young architect, how do you develop your critical analysis to be able to go beyond what is given, even if it's a regulation or it's a framework that is given to you, and try to build something meaningful in a way?
No, I will join Lina and say that is the way you have to go. And I think you're lucky to be in the country where you have access. You have a great school. It's up to you to really absorb all of this energy coming from the school, but be sure that you have to be courageous. Just use all of these and never be afraid about a job or opportunity open to you. If you are afraid, then you lost already. You have to go ahead. I started to build when I was a student. You can imagine what was the reaction in my school. Briefly, I have become a hero in my school because I went and no one believed it will happen. And I came back, and so, it was so a great present because I was courageous enough. So, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your wisdom and the experience and the stories. It was really inspiring, and all of these people in this conference room have the same feeling. Thank you. 자, 오늘 이걸로 그러면은 프란시스 캐레하고 리나고트메하고의 대담을 마치도록 하겠습니다. 마무리해 주시죠.
네, 큰 박수 부탁드리겠습니다. 네, 정말 멋지게 세션 저희 스페셜 토크 세션 이끌어 주셨던 유현준 교수님 감사합니다. 네, 첫 번째 건축 세션은 이것으로 마무리를 해보겠습니다. 저희 오후 1시까지 점심시간인데요. 장내에 계신 참석자 여러분들께 자리로 저희가 점심 식사를 제공해 드릴 예정입니다. 자리에 그대로 착석해 계시면 저희가 준비를 하겠습니다. 한 가지 부탁 말씀도 아울러서 좀 드리고 싶은데요. 자리에 놓인 헤럴드디자인포럼 설문조사지 좀 바쁘시더라도 참여해 주시면 좋겠습니다. 10분 추첨해서 드릴 저희 선물도 준비를 해놓고 있으니까요. 소중한 의견 남겨주시면 감사하겠습니다. 1시까지 오찬 그리고 휴식 시간 갖도록 하겠습니다. 지금부터 1시까지 편안한 시간 되시고요. 저희는 잠시 후에 다시 뵙도록 하겠습니다.